We got involved in the Dominican Republic because one of our parishioners went down there. She came back and she said, you really have to come down there and see. Come and see. Just like the Bible says. Jesus said, come and see. All of these people living in poverty. But these particular people that we were called down to help in the Dominican Republic are even worse than that. You have the Haitians, the Haitian refugees, people who have fled Haiti over the past decade, 3 decades, 4 decades, and they basically come to the Dominican Republic to find some type of refuge. If you're coming from nothing, absolutely nothing, and there's no tomorrow for you, you just take desperate measures. You'll leave a country. There was absolutely nothing to look forward to in Haiti, and they were promised some type of work in the Dominican Republic cutting sugarcane. And many of those people were born in the Dominican Republic. They can do what they can go to school and things like that because they want them to get an education. The education's there. But again, what are they going to do if I don't have a status? The government of the Dominican doesn't recognize that because there are so many of them. Unregistered people that they don't even know who they are. Like we're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that are living under these things. After the recent earthquake in Haiti, who knows how many have stuck over to the border, knowing that Haiti is just going to be just devastated. We don't know what we're going to find when we get down there in July this year. The poverty that those people live in is just unbelievable. If we're poor here, we're poor in this country, we're poor anywhere in North America, there's a chance. We go to education, we can get help from the government, there's hope for tomorrow. There's no hope for those people. Absolutely no hope whatsoever. The Haitians that live down there in the Bateys are villages, that's a Spanish word for village. They would be situated inside or very close to the sugarcane fields. Miles and miles and miles of sugarcane fields. 400 to 500 bateys in the Dominican. They look nothing more than just somebody put up cement buildings. And it would be broken up into 5 or 6 different compartments, okay? Each one being maybe 10 meters square. There would be a family of 5 living in there, a family of 6 living in there. There's a bed off to the side, maybe. There's a table or a chair off to the side, maybe. Most of their cooking was done outside over the fire, over pots and pans that were questionable. Most of the meals that they have to eat sugarcane. If you're eating sugarcane all day long, most of them are as skinny as this. Kids are complaining that they're hungry. What am I going to do? Where am I going to get food? I can't even go to the store to buy because I don't have any money. And even if I did have the money, where's the store? Because they live usually away from the rest of civilization, there are no stores, no running water, no hydro. They don't bathe on a regular basis because there's no place to bathe. If they were to bathe, I guess they would have to go down to the river or go down to the ocean. For some of them, that's miles and miles away. In this particular country, where they live, in the GTA or they live up in the Northwest Territories, at least we've got access to those things. There are programs within this country that help the poor. Okay, as long as I access them. In the Dominican Republic, those programs don't exist. They don't exist. What would we be like? What would we be like if we were put into those situations? I say that to the kids, especially the ones that we go down there. When I take them down there, they're like, oh, these kids are pushing and shoving and everything else like that. Why can't they just act normal and everything else like this? I said, what would you be like if you've never had anything new, ever? What would you be like? They know little or nothing about personal hygiene. They know little or nothing about sexually transmitted diseases or anything else like that. They simply just don't have the facilities to do that. And even when you teach them about it, oftentimes it goes neglected. It's another thing to go there and watch someone literally die outside. No one knows they were there. No one knows they left. Babies especially. 29% of the children are under the age of 5. Young mothers with children, 15 years old, 16 years old, no more than grade 10, grade 11. There was always an abundance of children around, which means that there's a lot of women giving birth, but rarely see couples together down there. How can I walk past that and say I can't do anything? Everyone does their part. I don't tell them what they do. I don't tell them what to do. Whatever you think you need to do, whatever God tells you to do, you can do it. Do you know what it's like to give a boy in the Dominican Republic a baseball, a brand new baseball? He thinks he just went to heaven. They love baseball so much. It was like giving a kid a hockey stick in Canada who never had one. To be able to help someone, to put a smile onto somebody's face, you can't pay for that. With our program, you give it to me, I put it in their hands. There's no middleman. When we go down, we try to bring them bars of soap. We try to bring them hand sanitizers and things like that, vitamins. We try to bring them those things that will help them with their personal hygiene. We've brought down several doctors with us who would set up like a little clinic with them, and they'd all line up, and they would, I've got a problem here, I've got a cut here, I got a scalp. A lot of them had skin problems. And the doctors, and all the doctors that we brought down there, it all comes down to hygiene. Each year we bring down a container, a 40-foot container full of medicines, full of clothes, full of all kinds of different things, bicycles, school supplies. And they'll wait there for hours in the blazing sun, wait there for hours for a pair of pants and a shirt and a piece of candy. If we don't do it, if we see that and don't do it, that makes us subhuman. What struck me about them after meeting them is looking at the extreme poverty that these people live in, and yet they're so happy. They're really genuinely happy. They would smile at us. They enjoyed us being there when we came. They enjoyed that someone cared. Someone cared. We're not going to change your life. We can try, we can do as best as we possibly can, but just to let you know somebody cares. And they appreciated that so much. They appreciated that so much. There's a dignity that they had, that although I may have to live in those particular situations, there is something that I can do for myself, and that is to take care of myself, to put on a great appearance. And that's what they did. That was what impressed me the most. And we, in our society, have got everything we could possibly want and 10 times over more, and we're miserable. We're miserable.
I've been going down to the Dominican Republic now for 3 years. What happened was in church, we'd hear Father Michael preaching from the pulpit about what the dire needs and the desperate situation that was down there. And so one year I decided that I would go down, see for myself what the situation really is like down there. And as a physician, working in a first world country, and going down there and trying to practice medicine in the middle of fields was a real eye-opener. One time we were down there, we set up a temporary clinic, and I looked around. Usually what we would do is we would go to these bâtés, which are these shanty towns, and invariably there'd be a school room or some place like that where we could set things up. This one particular place had absolutely nothing. So I looked around. There was a house nearby, a house. It was, again, one of these shacks. I went in, introduced myself. The lady had a table. So I gave her 20 American dollars. I said, can we borrow your table for a few hours? And we put the table out in the fields. And there were dogs running around, and there were other farm animals. And we had people lined up from morning until it was black and I couldn't see anymore. And we were just working all day long. The video that you see really doesn't give you an appreciation of how desperate the situation is, because the video sterilizes things. You don't see the filth. You don't see the color of the water that they're drinking. You don't see the dirt on their clothing. You don't see the open sores, the wounds that you see when you actually go down there yourself. I was at a fundraiser this fall where we were trying to raise money for this initiative at the Dominican Republic. And I asked for some audience participation. And I first asked everyone in the room over the age of 50 to please stand up. And that was about 80% of the people present. I then said, can anyone between the ages of 15 and 25 please stand up? And then I asked, for those of you who have children under the age of 5, please stand. Or if you have a teenager between the ages of 15 and 25, please stand up. By the time I'd finished, there was no one left sitting. I had everybody sit down, and then I explained to them why the exercise. If you're born in a bâté in the Dominican Republic, your life expectancy is 50. So anyone over the age of 50 really would be dead. If you're between the age of 15 and 25, 18% of those people are HIV positive. If you are under age 2, 50% of these children have chronic diarrhea. And if you're under age 5, 30%, 30 to as high as 35% of these people are malnourished. Every year, we run fundraisers for 12 months, and the goal of these are to raise money that we bring down to the Dominican Republic, or that we use to purchase goods and or items that we subsequently bring down there. In addition, we run a nutritional program. We pay for immunization. We have 9 kids in university right now. We believe that education is one road out of poverty. Last year, we were fortunate enough to bring down over $200,000 worth of medication. This is all through fundraising and through the generous help that we get from Health Partners of Canada International. What donors need to know is that for every $575 in donation to Health Partners of Canada International, I'm able to purchase $5,000 worth of product. And that is because the product is donated by the pharmaceutical industries. Health Partners of Canada charges me an administrative fee that covers stocking of the medication. It covers packaging and transportation of the medication to the site of departure. And it covers the legal paperwork that accompanies each medical package. So it's a very worthy cause, and for $575, you're really getting 10 times worth that amount in actual product.
I met a Jewish man in the Holy Land, and his name is Ronnie. And we were walking on the outsides of the walls of Jerusalem, and all along the hill for miles along, there were tombs all along the sides. And we saw rocks on top of them, and we said, "What are those rocks for?" And he said, "Well, this is a desert." So he says, "Obviously, we don't have fresh flowers. So when you go to visit your relative's friends or something else, you put a rock on top of their grave." So we thought that was pretty interesting. And then we noticed that there were quite a number of them without rocks on it. And we said to him, "So how come some of these don't have rocks?" And he says, "It must be old. Their relatives have died and everything else like that. No one comes to visit them anymore." So we said, "Well, that's probably pretty sad." And he said, "Sad?" Sad? He says, "We're all forgotten in 3 generations. We're all forgotten in 3 generations. Your children will remember you. Your grandchildren might remember you. Maybe your great-grandchildren will know of your name. But once past that, you will be remembered." Why do I do this? Because I'd like to be remembered by God. Because if everyone else is going to forget about me, I don't want him to forget that I was through this life and I did the best that I could. I was here once, and I couldn't do a lot. I wasn't a wealthy man or anything else like that. I used whatever gifts he gave me, and I was able to touch some people's lives, make them a little bit better. Wasn't able to change it, but I put a smile on their face. And of all the things, like I said, if no one's going to remember me in 3 generations and all the things that we try to do in this life, hopefully God will remember. His memory never fades.